I heard the secret before my father spoke it. It was in the way the house went quiet, like someone pressed pause on our lungs, even our wall clock, the one that ticks loudly, as if it is chasing time with a stick, sounded shy. That was how the night began, the night my father confessed and our family broke forever. I was 19 that week, home from college for midterm, back to our small white street in Yorkshire, where we were the only African family on the lane. The houses were neat and pale like teeth. The neighbors smiled from a distance and mowed their lawns in straight lines. At home we did not live quiet like that. We lived with pepper and laughter. We lived with stories. We lived with my mother's egusi stew, my father's radio that liked to play High Life on Sunday mornings, and my little brother Kosi, who ran everywhere saying, "Sister, see me, see me." Our skin was the color of midnight, and our living room was the color of home. That evening, rain tapped the window like small fingers. My mother cooked jollof rice that glowed red like a secret sunset. The smell climbed the stairs and settled in my hair. My father sat at the table, but he did not sing along to the radio. He did not pick at the fried plantain. He held his fork like it was an exam he was about to fail. When he looked at me, he smiled without his eyes. "Papa, are you okay?" I asked. He nodded. "I am fine, Amarachi. Eat." But the food tasted like questions. Even Kosi felt it. He pushed his chair back and took his plate to the rug, watching cartoons with one eye and watching Papa with the other. My mother did not ask anything yet. She watched my father the way a nurse watches a drip, calm, careful, counting. When we finished eating, my mother wiped the table twice. She lined up the salt and pepper like soldiers. She was not tidy like that, unless her mind was untidy. The rain got louder. The wind blew across our pale street, and a bin lid rolled and rolled like a lost wheel. I checked my phone. My friends were posting party pictures from town. Someone wrote, "Outside tonight." I typed, "Next time." My thumb shook, and I could not say why. My father cleared his throat. It cracked dry like old paper. He stood up, sat down again, stood up once more. He was a tall man with gentle hands. Back home in Inigu, people used to call him teacher because he taught mathematics and never raised his voice. In England he wore a blue work jacket and cleaned office buildings at night. He said there is dignity in work. He said numbers and mops both answer to patience. He said a good name is better than gold. That is what my father always said. This time he did not talk like a teacher or a man with a mop. He spoke like someone carrying fire in his mouth. "Chitsum," he said to my mother, using her full name, not Nakam, not my Ain. "Please, sit." "I am sitting," she answered. "Say what you want to say." He glanced at me, then at Kosi on the rug. "Kosi, off the TV." "Come." Kosi frowned but obeyed. Oh. He curled beside me, small and warm, smelling like cocoa butter and jollof. My father placed his hands on the table and spread his fingers wide, as if he was counting without numbers. "I have done wrong," he said. The room felt colder. The rain slowed down as if it came to listen. "What wrong?" my mother asked. Her voice was soft but strong, like fabric that looks light until you try to tear it. My father swallowed. "I should have told you long ago. I should have told you before we left Nigeria. I should have told you before Amarachi was born. I should have told you." Whoa. He stopped himself. "But fear is a bad friend. It will make you build a house and hide under the bed. Speak plainly," my mother said. "Which house? Which bed?" He pressed his thumb to his brow. He looked older than he was. He looked older than his father. "Before I met you, Shitsum, when I was a young man, stupid proud, I was engaged to someone else. It broke. We separated. Then one night, before I traveled for my master's program, I made another mistake with her. I thought it ended there. I thought it died there. It did not die." He looked at me. He looked at Kosi. He looked at the wall clock that suddenly found its courage and began to tick loudly again. Chineke, my mother breathed. Is it a child? My father closed his eyes. Yes. The clock ticked. Tick, tick, tick. Every tick said fool. Every tick said, late. How old? My mother asked. She was not crying. Not yet. A single vein stood in her neck, thin like a blue string. My father opened his eyes. 20. Kosi whispered. Sister is 19. Yes, my father said, voice thin. She is older than Amarachi by 1 year. I did not move. I did not breathe. A sound left my throat, small like a bird that hit a window. 20 years. That child had been alive the whole time I learned my times tables. The whole time I braided my hair for school. The whole time my mother told me stories about tortoise and stubbornness, about moonlight and truth. My mother stood up. She did not shout. She sounded like a person who has reached the bottom of the ocean and found it does not end there. Where is the child? Boy or girl? Girl, my father said, voice almost gone. Her name is Adora. She is in Leeds. Leeds was 20 minutes away by train. I had bought iced coffee there last week. I had laughed with friends by the canal, close to where a girl with my father's eyes might have walked by, wearing a hoodie, scrolling her phone, alive inside my unknowing. My mother laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was the kind of laugh that has no home. So you kept a child like Yam in the ceiling. You kept her while I kept faith. Biko, my father said, please. I send money. Quietly. I was afraid to break this family. I told myself I was protecting everyone. I told myself time would make it easier to speak. Time did not help me. Time tied my tongue. Time did not stop you from lying. My mother said. I found my voice. It was small but sharp. Does she know us? Does she know you have another family? My father nodded once. She knows I am her father. She does not know you. She has asked and asked. I kept saying not yet. Tonight she said, if I do not tell you, she will find you herself. She is 20. She is angry. She is right to be angry. All the air in the room felt used. Kosi's hand squeezed my fingers till they hurt. His eyes were wide and wet. Sister, he whispered. Is she my sister too? I could not answer. The word sister felt like biting into a sweet you did not realize was pepper. My mother's face changed. It did not break. It turned to stone. You will call her, she said. You will tell her to come here. Tonight. If there is truth, let it sit on this table and not hide in your pocket. My father shook his head slowly. It is late. Late has already come, she said. Invite it to sit. He pulled out his phone with trembling fingers. He dialed and put it on speaker. I held Kosi's hand. My mother held the edge of the table. The rain began again, softer now, like a drum someone was beating with care. The phone rang. Once, twice, 3 times. A voice answered. A crisp voice. A young woman's voice, carrying both iron and glass. Hello, Dad. My mother blinked hard. The clock ticked like dancing feet. Something inside me sat up and opened its eyes. Adora, my father said. Voice breaking. They are here. Your stepmother. Your sister. Your brother. I have told them. Silence. Then a small breath on the other end. Good. Can I come now? My mother's jaw moved. Come, she said, loud enough for the phone to catch. Come and eat truth with us. The call ended. My father put down the phone as if it were heavier than a pot filled with water. He did not look at anyone. Amarachi, my mother said, not turning to me. Please sweep the sitting room. Let the floor be clean for what is coming. Kosi, go and change your shirt. We are not a dirty family. Let our shame find us neat. I stood up and picked the broom. My hands shook so badly, I had to hold the handle with both palms. The bristles whispered across the floor, collecting tiny crumbs. A long hair, a dried grain of rice. I was cleaning, and still I felt so dirty. I thought about birthdays. I thought about family photos. I thought about how a stranger was walking toward our white street with my father's face in her face. There is a saying my grandmother used to whisper, when things were hard, if the truth burns your tongue, drink water and speak it. My father had finally drunk. He had spoken. Now! The burn was on all our tongues. Headlights slowed outside. A car door opened and closed. Footsteps. A knock. My mother looked at the door and did not move. My father stood, then sat, then stood again. Kosi pressed himself to my side, like a second shadow. The girl in the rain looked like a photograph pulled from our family album and printed with different colors. She had my father's eyes, and my father's way of holding her mouth, like she was keeping back a stubborn thought. She wore a gray coat and a black scarf. Water shone on her lashes. She was beautiful in the difficult way. A storm is beautiful. Yes, I said, though the word sounded far away. I am Adora, she said. I am your sister. The house took a breath again, a long shaking breath, and then everything that had been holding time, truth, patience, fear, let go at once. That was the exact second it began. The breaking that would not stop at the door. The breaking that would climb the stairs and enter our rooms, and take our old life down, like a picture frame. Behind me, my mother said softly, "Come in," and the night obeyed. Adewara stood at the doorway like someone who had come for war but wasn't sure where to aim the first blow. The rain clung to her coat. Behind her, the streetlight painted her face in half shadows, half mine, half his. My father's hand trembled as he motioned for her to come in. "Welcome," he said softly. She stepped inside without looking at him. Her eyes swept the room like she was searching for something stolen. The air smelled of cold rain and palm oil. The sound of her wet shoes on the tiles was loud enough to hurt. My mother sat still, straight-backed in her chair. She did not stand to greet her. She did not even blink. "You must be Adewara," she said, her voice even. "Yes, Ma." The word came out sharp. It carried no respect, only survival. "I came because I was tired of secrets." "You did well," my mother said, still calm. "Truth has legs. Even when you chase it away, it finds its way back." Adewara's eyes flicked toward me. "So, you are Amarachi." I nodded. My mouth was dry. I wanted to speak, to say something human, but my chest was full of noise that had no shape. Kosi peeked from behind me, half curious, half afraid. She saw him and smiled sadly. "He looks like me when I was small," she said. No one replied. My father cleared his throat. "Sit down, Adewara. You must be cold." She did not move. "I'm fine standing. I didn't come here for comfort." He lowered his head. "You came for the truth." "I came for respect," she snapped. "For 20 years you sent money but not your face. You remembered my school fees but forgot my birthdays. I watched other girls with fathers who came to their school plays. I used to lie that you were dead, just so I could stop explaining your silence." My father's eyes filled but my mother's face did not change. She sat like someone who had died standing and refused to fall. "Don't shout," my mother said quietly. "The rain will carry your anger away. Sit." Adewara hesitated, then sat on the edge of the sofa. The tension in the room was alive. It had teeth. I sat opposite her, close enough to see that she had a small scar on her chin, the same place where I had one from falling as a child. It was as if God had stamped us both and hidden the paper. Kosi whispered, "Do you like games?" Adewara smiled faintly. "I used to, not anymore." He looked down confused, then returned to his corner. My father rubbed his hands together as if trying to warm himself. "I was wrong," he said. "I thought I could keep both worlds safe by separating them. I was afraid of losing everything. Now I see I lost it already." Adewara laughed once, short and bitter. "You lost me before I could even spell your name." "Enough," my mother said. Her voice rose just slightly, but it was enough to make the room freeze. Do not talk like strangers fighting over a market stall. Whatever this is, it is happening in my house, and there will be order. Adewara turned to her, her voice trembling. Your house, Ma. I have heard about you all my life. The perfect wife, the one who made him forget us. My mother's lips tightened. I did not steal your father. He left his own shadow behind him. I only married the man who came. They stared at each other. The woman who had been chosen and the daughter who had been left behind. It felt like a mirror had cracked between them. Then Adewara looked at me again. You have everything I should have had, she said. His time, his home, his love. Do you think that makes it easier? I said quietly. To find out that love was borrowed? She blinked, surprised. The silence that followed was the kind that presses down on the ribs. Even the clock seemed afraid to tick. My father stood suddenly. I will not let you fight, he said. This is my doing. Curse me, not each other. My mother rose too. Her calm began to slip. You are right. It is your doing. You built this house with lies. You taught your children to pray, but you forgot to pray for forgiveness. I am praying now, he said, voice shaking. Too late, she said. God does not answer prayers built on silence. Adewara stood. I did not come to watch this, she said. I came to see her, to know her face. She looked at me again. You are my sister whether you like it or not. Something in her tone made my stomach turn. Then act like one, I said. Stop making me the enemy of something I never caused. Her face softened. I don't hate you, she said quietly. I just don't know how to love you. That broke something in me. I felt my throat close. Maybe we both have to learn. For the first time she smiled. A real small smile. My father watched us, tears rolling down his cheeks. My mother turned away, whispering something in Igbo under her breath. It sounded like a prayer, or maybe a curse. The power flickered, then went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Only the sound of the rain remained. My father fumbled for his phone to use the torchlight. When he turned it on, the beam landed on the family portrait above the TV. My mother, my father, me and Kosi, all smiling. The light shook in his hand. Adewara stared at the picture for a long time. Where do I fit in that frame? She asked. No one answered. She stood. Maybe I should go. No, my father said. Please. But my mother spoke over him. Let her go if she wants. Sometimes pain needs distance to heal. Adewara nodded. Thank you, Ma. She walked to the door. But before leaving she turned to me. We'll talk again. Amarachi. I nodded. We will. She stepped out into the rain. The sound of the door closing was louder than thunder. My father sank into a chair. My mother stood by the window staring at nothing. She has your stubbornness, my mother said quietly. She has my sins, he replied. I went upstairs to my room, but the air followed me like a ghost. From the window I watched Adora's car drive away, its red tail lights fading into the wet night. My reflection stared back at me, half light, half shadow, like her. Downstairs I heard my mother's voice, trembling for the first time. You have destroyed something that will never rebuild. And my father, his voice breaking, answered. I know. The house creaked in the wind. Kosi cried softly in his sleep. And I realized then that some truths don't only break families, they keep breaking them, again and again each time someone remembers. That was the night my father confessed, but this was the night our silence began. When I woke up, the house smelled like rain and leftover sorrow. The air was heavy, like it hadn't forgiven us for surviving the night. I could hear my mother in the kitchen, moving things around without purpose, pots clanging softly, drawers opening and closing, water running too long in the sink. The sound of someone trying to drown her thoughts in noise. Kosi was still asleep beside me, one arm across my stomach. His breathing was steady, his dreams innocent. I wished I could sleep like that again, like the world hadn't changed shape overnight. But once truth enters a home, it doesn't leave quietly. It sits in corners, in the smell of breakfast, in the silence between footsteps. When I went downstairs, my father was sitting at the dining table, still in the same clothes as last night. His phone lay on the table, screen black. The jollof pot from yesterday was covered but untouched. My mother's back was to him. She stirred tea slowly, as if she was afraid to stop stirring. "Good morning," I said softly. No one answered. I sat down. The chair squeaked. My father lifted his head. His eyes were red, swollen like he'd been fighting with himself all night, and lost. "Did you sleep?" he asked. "A little," he nodded. "That's good." My mother set the tea on the table. 1 cup. Only hers. She didn't pour for him. Not even water. The distance between them was wider than the ocean between Nigeria and England. "Where is Adara?" she asked. Voice flat. My father hesitated. "She sent a message around 5. She reached home safely." My mother's hands froze on the table. "Home," she repeated, as if testing the word. "Good. Everyone should go to their home." He swallowed hard. "Chisholm, please." She turned sharply. "Don't call me that. Not now." He looked down. His voice shrank. "What should I call you then?" She didn't answer. The spoon clattered against her cup. I stood and went to the sink, pretending to rinse a plate just to escape the heat between them, but even the running water couldn't hide her next words. "For 20 years, she said quietly. "I built this house with you. I left my parents, my land, everything I knew. I carried our children, cooked your food, washed your shirts, prayed with your name in my mouth. And all that time, there was another woman's shadow behind me. Gachiu padas fortis as in that sordewis ibat house bordes fraud. Another child wearing your eyes." Tears slid down her face, but she didn't stop talking. "You did not just lie to me. You lied to my peace." My father got up. He moved closer, his voice shaking. "I was young, foolish. I didn't know how to fix what I broke. I thought time would cover it." "Time covers nothing," she said. "It only hides it until the day it wants to embarrass you." The air trembled. I couldn't breathe. Kosi came down the stairs in his pajamas, rubbing his eyes. "Mummy, Daddy, are you fighting?" My mother quickly wiped her face. "No, baby. We are just talking." He walked to my father and hugged his leg. "Daddy, are you sad?" My father bent down and held him tightly. His eyes closed. "Yes, my son. Daddy made a big mistake." Kosi frowned. "Then say sorry." "I already did," my father whispered. "But sometimes sorry is not enough." My mother turned away, her shoulders shaking. She didn't want the boy to see her cry. I took Kosi's hand and led him outside to the backyard. The morning air was cold but honest. The sky was still gray, like it had decided to keep its tears for later. He looked up at me. "Sister, will we still live here?" "Yes," I said. "This is our home." "But why does everyone look like they don't want to stay?" I didn't know how to answer. Sometimes when people hurt each other, they forget what home means for a while. He nodded slowly, not understanding but pretending to. Then he smiled weakly. "Can I still watch cartoons?" I laughed softly. "Yes, you can." Inside I could hear my father's voice, low and broken, and my mother's silence swallowing it whole. Hours passed. No one touched breakfast. By afternoon my mother packed a small bag, just a few clothes, her Bible, and some money. My father stood by the door, helpless. "Where are you going?" he asked. "To think," she said. "I need air that doesn't smell like lies. Please don't go. The children will survive. You should worry about yourself." She walked past him, her wrapper brushing his leg like goodbye. She didn't look back. The front door closed with a soft click that sounded louder than thunder. I stood at the stairs, frozen. My father's hand hung in the air, reaching for a woman who wasn't there anymore. He looked up at me. "Amarachi," he said. "I destroyed everything, didn't I?" I wanted to say no. I wanted to comfort him. But lies were what brought us here, so I told the truth. "Yes, Papa, you did." He nodded slowly. "Then I must fix what I can." That evening, he drove to Leeds. He didn't say it, but I knew he was going to see Adora. Maybe to apologize. Maybe to cling to what was left of him. When he left, the house grew too quiet again. Kosi sat beside me, holding his toy car. Will Daddy come back? Yes, I said, even though I wasn't sure. When night came, I found myself staring at our family photo again, the one above the TV. I touched the glass with my fingertips. It felt cold, distant. I wondered if Adora was looking at her own photos, wondering the same thing. Sometimes families don't break with shouts. They break with quiet goodbyes, with the sound of keys turning in a lock, with the silence that follows. Weeks later, my mother came back. She didn't say much. She just began cooking again, moving around the kitchen like someone who has accepted pain as part of her furniture. My father still visited, but he slept in the guest room. He looked smaller, older. Adora came too, not often, but enough. She and I started talking, slowly, carefully, like walking on glass. She laughed once in a while. It was strange but good. One Sunday evening, when the sky burned orange, my father brought us all together, me, Kosi, Adora, and my mother. We sat at the same table where the confession happened. He said, I cannot undo what I did, but I want to live with truth now, even if it hurt. My mother sighed. Truth hurts but lies kill. Let us at least live wounded, not dead. We ate in silence, but it was a peaceful kind, the kind that comes when wounds begin to close. After dinner, Adora and I washed plates together. She nudged me playfully. You still wash slow? I smiled. You still talk too much. We laughed quietly. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. That night, when I lay in bed, I thought of how one confession had burned our family to ashes. But from those ashes, we were beginning to rise. Slowly, painfully, honestly. Maybe families are not built to stay unbroken. Maybe they are built to keep finding ways to rebuild. The clock ticked in the living room. Steady, brave. Outside the rain began again, but this time it sounded like forgiveness.